We're going to show you how to make dot plots and calculate two variable statistics using the data plot in Classpad.net. So I have some information here. So this is data from the first 31 games played in the NCAA men's tournament in 2021. One game was not played due to the COVID. And this is the scores of the winners and the losers. So the 31 games, we've recorded this, and we've recorded this in a data table. So the data came directly from the statistics page. And now we want to compare the winning scores to the losing scores and see if we can come to some conclusions. And then we're going to look at two variable statistics. So dot plots are a really nice way to just compare if you just kind of want to get a quick glimpse of everything. So to do that, once you have your data, if you click on the column that you're interested in, so a dot plot is single data and frequency. So you'll notice when the statistical menu comes up, you've selected a column and you have lots of options. So you can do testing and distributions, but we're interested in looking at the visual, a graph. So when I hit the graph option, I have different types of statistical plots that I can do, and I'm interested in the dot plot. So I'm going to hit dot plot, and this represents, and it tells you right up here, it gets a little sticky, and it tells you that the data is coming from the 1 column, and we're using a frequency of 1. And if we look at the data, now we have a nice visual of this data. So what could we say about the winners? So the winners kind of look like, if we kind of look at where maybe a mean might be somewhere between 70 and 80 is sort of where the normal scores were going, but there's a few that went really high and a few that were very low. And so we could have some conclusions just by looking at the visual. Now let's add to this same data plot. Let's click column B and do another dot plot. And what's going to happen is you can do several dot plots on top of each other. It's going to create a new dot plot, tell you where it came from. So it came from the lost column. And it's going to put it right on top of the previous one, but in a different color. So now this is a really nice comparison because now you can see that the losing team, which is in our red, the losing teams, their mean, their average is much lower than the winning team. So maybe these were obviously matched up really nicely. But there is this red score here. So one of the losing teams scored really high, almost as high as some of the highest winning teams, but they still didn't win. So there's a lot of things you could go on about. So now we kind of have a sense that the average or the mean score for the losers is going to be somewhere in this near the 60s, and the average for the winning teams is much higher. So that makes sense that they're the winning team. So now you could actually then calculate the statistics, and you can do that again with the data table. So if I select the data table, and let's hit this back button here, you'll see that there's calculations. And so you have the option for a 1 variable or 2 variable. Since I only have 1 column right now, I would get 1 variable statistics. If I want both of them at the same time, then I want to select both columns. So to do that, I'm going to hold my shift key down, and now I have both columns selected. And now 2 variable makes sense. So let's see what happens when I hit 2 variable. So what this does is it brings up the 2 variables. And so let's see how good we were. And these are stickies that I can kind of move wherever I want. Let's see how good we were. So X is the winning team, Y represents the losing teams. So the mean for the winning teams was around 75. We sort of decided that based on our visual. Let's see what the mean for the losing teams. We said around 60, and it's 61. So you can get some visuals and get some understanding of what those representations mean, and then you can actually do the calculation. So very easy. You enter your data, you click on the columns, and you can do your statistics, you can do your graphing. And another nice thing about this is we have both of these on the same graph. We could look at them separately. So in Classpad, you are able to, however many graphs you've put on top of each other, if you just grab one of the tabs here at the bottom and pull it out, you can now look at them separately, which might be a nice, way to. And when you do that, you get the table and the thing. But when you do that, you get the table and the information along with it. So let's go back to this table. There we go. Now we could look at them next to each other. I like them on top of each other because it really showed how different the means were, like visually. So if you want them back on top of each other, you just drag them and drop, and they come back together, as do the tables. So really nice, quick and easy to do dot plots and two variable statistics, or one variable when you have data.